There are times when history changes course and almost nobody notices. Everything seems to go on as usual until one day you wake up and realize the world is no longer the same. Well, on September 17, one of those very events took place, a historic development that could reshape the political architecture of the world, alter the military balance in the Middle East, and plant the seed of a new international power bloc. And yet, it largely went unnoticed. And no, this time we're not talking about Gaza, Israel, or even Iran, but something entirely different. On September 17th, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a historic agreement, a mutual defense pact, the very first formal deal of its kind between two Muslim states. And let us be clear, this isn't just a symbolic agreement or a piece of diplomatic posturing. This is much bigger, a deal that could reshape the Middle East, redefine America's role, and even change the balance of power between India, Pakistan, and China. In fact, this might be one of the most important news stories of 2025, maybe even of the entire past decade. Yet almost no one has noticed. But that's exactly what we at Visual Politic are here for. So why do we say this agreement is so significant? Because it's not just another memorandum of military cooperation, it's something much more ambitious. This is a NATO-style pact. The text leaves no room for doubt. Any attack on one country will be treated as an attack on both. Sound familiar? It should is essentially the spirit of NATO's Article 5. That is the foundation of this new mutual defense partnership. Analysts are already calling it a potential precursor to a fledged Arab-NATO and international Islamic military alliance capable of defending itself against threats, while amplifying its power and influence across the globe. Think about it. Such an organization would be born with money, youth, and enough weapons to be taken seriously. And that's not even the most explosive part, because there's one crucial element we can't ignore. Pakistan is no ordinary country. With 170 nuclear warheads, it's one of the 9 nuclear powers on Earth. And here is the key point: the deal effectively extends Pakistan's nuclear deterrence to the kingdom led by Mohammed bin Salman. For the first time ever, Saudi Arabia is protected under a nuclear umbrella. Do you see what that means? The Saudis have essentially just bought themselves a nuclear defense system, and they've been after this for years. In fact, journalist Bob Woodward's recent book mentioned a meeting between Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Senator Lindsey Graham. In that meeting, the Crown Prince bluntly said, "I don't need uranium to build a bomb. I'll just buy one from Pakistan." Well, that's essentially what has now happened. The implications are massive. This deal disrupts the entire balance of power in the Persian Gulf, opens the door to a Muslim NATO, reduces Washington's influence in the region like we haven't seen in decades, and delivers a blow not just to Tehran, but also to Israel, because now the Saudis have their own deterrence capability, and the implications don't stop at the Middle East. West. This could reshape the future of all of Asia. With this pact, Pakistan ties itself to a global energy, financial, and religious powerhouse, dramatically shifting the balance between Pakistan, China, and India. So let's break this down further. The new axis of Islamic power first. Let's situate our two main players. Saudi Arabia is far more than just an oil-rich desert. With 35 million people, it's one of the world's top energy powers, and as guardian of Mecca and Medina, it's the spiritual heart of Islam. In recent years, under de facto leader Mohammed bin Salman, the kingdom has been undergoing massive transformation. His Vision 2030 plan aims to wean the country off oil, diversify its economy, and elevate Saudi Arabia into a global political power. But influence also requires security. For decades, the Saudis relied on Washington for protection. Now, they want independence. The issue, despite massive spending, their military remains plagued with inefficiencies. On paper powerful, but in practice a giant with feet of clay. Pakistan, on the other hand, is a very different story. With 240 million people, it's locked in bitter rivalry with India, firmly aligned with China, and a member of the nuclear club. Unlike Saudi Arabia, Pakistan has few resources and is mired in a severe economic crisis. Religiously, it's far more hardline, with everything subordinated to Islam. Yet, together, the two nations complement one another. Saudi money and influence, paired with Pakistan's military experience and nuclear arsenal. Together, they could become the leading voice of the Islamic world. And their ties aren't new. Saudi support was crucial in helping Pakistan weather sanctions when it first tested nuclear weapons in 1998. For decades, Saudi petrodollars have funded Pakistan financial aid, schools, mosques, and even support for its nuclear program. In return, Pakistani troops have long bolstered Saudi security, training its army, guarding its royal family, and even defending its borders during the Iran-Iraq War. But the new Mutual Defense Treaty goes far beyond that history. It's not just training or troop deployments, it's full-scale military partnership, joint exercises, shared weapons programs, technology transfers, and above all, mutual defense under a nuclear umbrella. This is no longer business as usual. It's a historic military alliance. Saudi money and advanced tech paired with Pakistan's combat experience and nuclear deterrence. Why now? Several recent events pushed the Saudis to act. Israel's strikes deep inside Arab and Iranian territory without US intervention exposed just how vulnerable the region really is. For Riyadh, the message was clear. Money means nothing without military muscle, and Washington can no longer be relied upon. So Saudi Arabia turned to Pakistan and, by extension, to China. Because Pakistan sources most of its weapons from Beijing, this deal ties Riyadh closer to China's defense industry. Likewise, while the Saudis will still sell oil in dollars and buy US arms, they now have room to diversify, potentially trading oil in yuan or gold. That alone could hit the US dollar hard. The agreement also opens new routes to ship oil directly to China without passing through choke points under US influence. For Beijing, this deal is a huge win: greater access to energy, more influence in the Middle East, and new markets for its weapons. The losers: if China and Pakistan are winners, who loses? Three main players. India. Pakistan's eternal rival now faces a wealthier, stronger, nuclear-backed opponent, reinforced by Saudi oil and cash. Israel, its military edge shrinks as Pakistan's deterrence extends to Saudi Arabia, limiting its freedom of action. The United States, its decades-long grip on Saudi security is slipping, weakening its leverage in both the Gulf and global energy markets. Toward an Islamic NATO, in the medium term, this might be the most important outcome. The Riyadh-Islamabad axis could evolve into a broader Islamic military alliance, potentially joined by states like the UAE, Kuwait, Oman, Jordan, Egypt, or even Iraq. Such an organization would have enormous financial resources, nuclear capabilities, and demographic weight. It could become a powerful new pole in global geopolitics, balancing between China and the United States while reshaping the Islamic world's role on the international stage. That's why analysts agree this pact has the potential to be a geopolitical game-changer. The big question is whether it will solidify into a lasting alliance or collapse, like a house of cards built on shifting sands. So now I'll turn the question to you. What do you make of this move? How far do you think it will go? Who benefits the most and who stands to lose the most?